Hey, it's Al Calhoun with Coveted Consultant. Welcome to this week's Facebook Live. As you can see here, we've got a brand new setup going on. We've been improving our setup as we go. So be patient with me, please, as some technology issues may arise, but we're getting better as we go. We get better with each step. So far, so good, because Nelson's already here and he's saying hello. So, hey, Nelson, I'm glad I'm coming through. Videos coming through, audio's coming through. Good stuff. So I've got some notes here electronically. I've got some stuff I want to share with you today. Short introduction. What are these Facebook Lives? What are they about? I work with leaders of agencies. My desire is to help you build a better agency. There's a Facebook group called Marketing Leaders Lab where I'm currently now being broadcasted. My passion place is helping you design an agency that works for you and for the clients you serve. I'm less interested in the marketing hacks of the day, the headline tricks of the day, the automation secret, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of conversation about that in the world of marketing. I'm very tired on that. So I'm interested, though, in what you want to create with your agency. I'm interested in the choices you make as you design your agency. And I'd like to be a part of that process, a part of that experience with you. So if that sounds good, you're in the right place, because that's what this content is all about, helping you make the kinds of decisions that will grow the agency you want. Okay, so said all that. Denise says, "Hey, I like this setup." Good, Denise, because I'm kind of liking it too. So we're still getting better as we go, right? So, by the way, that's one of our attitudes around here, right? It will never be perfect. It will never be perfect. So you do the best you can where you are, and sometimes where the best you can is just barely getting by. Sometimes the best you can do is awesome and fantastic. No matter the case, you do the best you can at where you stand. So one reason why I do these Facebook Lives, so I can practice this with you, right? I am showing you, I'm modeling doing the best you can. And sometimes it's not always perfect, but it can be good. All right, great. Let's press on. So I asked in the Facebook group, I said, what do you want today's Facebook Live to be about? I said, I got my own plan, but, I'm asking you, clearly, because this content should be useful to you. What do you want today's Facebook Live to be about? And what I got back was a lot of comments about lead generation, a lot of different angles about lead generation. So today we're going to talk about lead generation. And the angle of the questions were, help me think about lead generation, help me make the right choice about which lead generation path makes the most sense for my agency. Kind of give me my options and my choices so I can make a good choice. So I'm gonna do the best I can to speak to it from that angle. For those of you right now, this moment, who are looking for the step-by-step magic process, Alzay, give me the 4 steps so I can take them and use them and go get paid. I don't have that today. That's not what today is about. So I'm telling you now, if you're looking for this kind of magical 8-step mechanical no fail process, I don't have that today. That's not what today is about. Close your browser, stop the video, move on with your day. You won't find it here. I don't want you frustrated. What today is about helping you make good decisions as you think about lead generation. Here we go. All right. So, number one, let me set some ground rules here. Matter of fact, I've got some new functionality. Let me show you my new functionality. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I know things are new. All right. Hold on. I got some new functionality. Let's do this. And hold on. Ta-da. Look at that. I got some new functionality. Ground rules for good lead generation. All right. So ground rules for good lead generation. There's some things you got to admit to. I'm talking to you. Things you've got to admit to. You got to admit that you are doing the lead generation work. This is your work. You are the rainmaker for your agency. You are responsible for every big deal, for every big engagement, for every sizable amount of money that comes into your agency. You are a part of that process. You are involved with lead generation. So we're not going to outsource it to some special company with the magic sauce. We're not going to hope and pray that some guy you hired can figure it out, some sales guy can figure it all out. You are involved in the lead generation process. Okay, so that's the first thing you are admitting to. Second thing you're admitting to is that marketing hacks won't work here. Yes, you can change a headline. Yes, you can change a word in your email copy. Yes, you can create some slick video with fancy angles. Yeah, there's a place and space for all the fancy marketing things of the day. But right now, we're admitting that marketing hacks won't get you through. And let me be even more direct about that. A lot of the marketing hacks that you see these kind of the are we good? Is technology agreeing with me? Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm back. You may have seen me make some very funny faces in the last 30 seconds because I had no idea if we were still in contact. Let's continue. All right. Let's not let that get in the way. Let's continue. So we're admitting here that marketing hacks won't see us through. And a lot of the marketing hacks that you see, change your headline, change the button you use on your page, all those kind of small hacks are typically used to sell products. That's used, you are browsing a page and there's some flash, some button flashes and you go, oh, okay, I'll buy that. And you click on the page. Those hacks are often used to sell products. In your world, you sell services and you're talking to someone on the phone. And the dynamics of getting someone on the phone and selling to someone on the phone, those marketing hacks just don't work. You can't put a countdown timer in front of somebody when you got them on the phone, right? Like that's just not practical, So, hey, you got 10 seconds left before the deal goes away. That's just not cool, right? So those kind of marketing hacks don't work. So you got to think about marketing in a way that creates more conversations because that's what's really after is more conversations. All right. You admit that you need a process. Lead generation is not about a hack or a trick or a single thing. Hey, just use Facebook ads. Just use cold email. Just use blank. You need a process. Generating new clients is a client acquisition system, and you need an order of steps to make that work, right? Okay? Last thing here is that you admit that you've got to do something about this. It's not about learning a new secret or tool or learning some new skills or learning 40 different ways of doing it. Right now, in your business, you need to do something about lead generation. Because that's how we're going to talk about it today, is if you're going to actually do something about it, okay? So ground rules. The ground rules have been set amongst the technology changes, right? We get better as we go. So now let me give you thing number 2, right? This is my new technology. Thing number 2. All right. So thing number 2 here is what is the best lead generation method for you and your agency? I'll give you this broad overview here, and then I'm going to frankly make a hard recommendation on where I think you should focus. Okay. So what is the best lead generation method for your agency? There's 3 basic ways you can generate leads. 3 basic broad categories. 3. You can buy leads, you can borrow leads, or you can build leads. You can buy, you can borrow, you can build. So let's give that structure. Buy leads. What am I talking about? I'm talking about some advertising. There are a lot of ways you can do paid advertising. So we can't dig into all those different methods, but if you know paid advertising, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know paid advertising, you probably shouldn't be considering it. Okay. Paid advertising is good in a lot of ways. What's the good of paid advertising? Is that it is fast. So you can spend money at a certain vendor, whether it's with Google or Facebook or Twitter or Bing or some other network or whatever. You can spend ads in magazines and whatever, newsletters. A lot of ways you can do paid advertising. It's fast in that way. You pay the ads, you get the clicks, away we go. The trouble is that you can spend a lot of money very quickly if you don't have your act together. If you're not sure that what you're doing is converting the way you need it to convert, if you're not sure on how that works, you can spend thousands of dollars quickly. And that can be a very aggressive loss, one you don't want to take. So that's the pro, right? The pro is that it moves quickly. The con is that you spend money all along the way, right? So if you're not clear, you spend your way into clarity. And how much money do you have? If you got 25 grand or 100 grand, then sure, you can do it. You can spend your way into clarity. But a lot of businesses just don't want to take that risk, right? So those are your pros and cons with buying advertising. If you got a question about that or an immediate thought or whatever, post that in the comments here. We'll attack those, but I'll continue with the framing. So that's buying leads. The second step is borrowing leads. You can borrow leads. What does that look like? That's some version of referrals. This is what most people like you are doing. Some version of referrals. There's a note that's here. Oh, well, we're good to go. All right. So far, so good. So there's some version of referrals. This borrowing leads, right? You're borrowing someone else's lead base, someone else's database, someone else's audience. You're borrowing from an established group already. So these are joint venture deals. These are strategic partners. These are referrals. Those are the kind of things that go into borrowing leads. Here's the deal about borrowing leads. And for those of you, most agencies make their living in this category. Most agencies are very comfortable with the idea of living off of referrals. Here's where companies hit the wall. So let's start with the good of referrals. The good of referrals is that most of the time they come pre-sold. Most of the time they come pre-sold, meaning, when you get the referral, they already pretty much know they want to work with you. Also, referrals are typically easy for you. It's an easy place for you to begin. Your existing network, et cetera, is already sending you business, so you don't have to extend a lot to get that started. Those become the pros. Here are the cons, is that referrals or some level of partnerships are typically unpredictable. So you don't know when your next referral is coming. You don't know when, you don't know how, you don't know who it's going to be. It's very unpredictable. So while referrals are coming, great. But when they stop, and because you don't know when they're going to stop because they're so unpredictable. So they're coming, and then they end. And then you hope one comes next month. You hope one comes the next month. You hope one comes the third month. Next thing you know, you're 6 months out. You haven't gotten a referral in. Then you get weird and things get scary. So they're very unpredictable. They're slow, right? So there's nothing you can do to make them go faster, right? In comparison to paid advertising, you spend more, you get more, right? But with this, partnership stuff, when you're borrowing leads, so to speak, you can't push and get the next one. What people don't talk about, one more of the cons of in this borrowing leads, this referral stuff, is you've got to make 2 sales. The first sale you have to make is with the joint venture partner or with the strategic partner or with the referral partner. You've got to sell them on the idea of sending leads to you. That's a thing. And then once the lead comes to you, you've got to sell that lead again on your actual services. Right. So there's 2 sales that's a part of having a referral model. That's 2 processes. So if you got an issue building the first process, you're going to really have trouble building the second process because it's another whole thing you got to build. A question came through from Nelson. Nelson asked, do you ask for referrals from existing customers? if you're asking, do I do it? Do I ask for referrals? Of course. Should you, Nelson, or anybody else ask for referrals from existing customers? Of course. Like that should be a no-brainer. If you're asking that to Nelson, if that question was a setup for another question, ask the deeper question. Ask the second question. All right, we'll continue. So, third method. So we just did buy, we just did borrow. The third method is build. And so build is you build your own organic audience. So this is your effort in building your own unique audience. So this is where cold calling and cold email comes from. All right, that it goes in this bucket: getting your own database, getting your own leads, building your own audience. This is also where all the content, SEO, forum posting type of effort, that's in this category. This is organically building your own audience, building your own database, building your own leads, all that kind of stuff. Direct outreach also goes here, and again, there's a lot of we can put a lot in here, but these are the strategies of direct outreach. Okay, all right. So now I'm going to make a hard. By the way, you got a question, you got a comment, got a concern about these different methods, about choosing one that works for you. Please ask that question now. We'll dialogue about that. Pros and cons of organic. So the pros of organic is that you've got control. You've got the most control over the inputs here, right? So you control how hard you work on it. You control how often you do it. Like you control how many calls you make a day, et cetera, right? So that's the pros of it. The cons of it are that it can be slow too. It can be slow. You don't necessarily make one phone call and get a lead that day or get a sale that day. You don't just send out one email and all of a sudden get a lead that day or get a sale that day. It's not always fast. However, direct outreach is what I recommend you focus on. That is if you have no process whatsoever, where should you begin? What is the first lead generation system you should build in your business? If you got nothing right now, or if you've got 40 things going on and you got to get it down to one, I'm recommending to you that you focus on direct outreach. I'll explain why in just a moment. I saw a question come through. So Nelson asked, how do you ask for referrals? Do you need a script? Or do you use a script? In my business, I don't use a script. I don't think you need a script. There's a lot in that question that I would like to pick and poke at, Nelson. I'll do that in a minute, right? So let's stay focused here. So the method for you, I'm recommending you use direct outreach. That you identify the kinds of clients you want to work with and reach out to those people specifically and directly. Why? I just mentioned control. You control who you speak to because you create your own list. You're not counting on someone else to create it or someone else to figure it out. You create your own list. You identify or you select the messaging that you send to those people individually. It's your choice. You decide what you want to say to each person individually. You've got more control there. Why I recommend direct outreach is it speaks to the other person in a one-on-one kind of conversation. They know they're talking to a single person, not some huge company they've got to navigate, not some slick salesperson that doesn't care about their needs. They're talking to an individual person. So not only do you get control, you control every step that happens here. What you also get is this sense of focus in the person you're talking to. And the other person receives that focus. They hear that focus. It resonates with them. And it encourages the next step you want to take. Matter of fact, let's talk about that. So what makes direct outreach work? What makes it work? So is it the perfect process? No, I wouldn't call it perfect. I think it's the best one for where you are, and it's the most sensible process to build for where you are. So let's talk about what makes it work, right? So what makes direct outreach work? Well, let's be clear about what the goal is. Let's define work, right? Does it work? Well, let's talk about what work means. Let's define the goal. The goal here is to get another person on the phone, specifically to get a decision maker on the phone. That is the goal of your direct outreach process. Get a person on the phone. That's the goal, right? What you sell marketing services through consultation, through conversation. So if you're not having conversations, then you're going to have trouble selling services. You got to get a person on the phone. That's the goal. All right. Second part here. Less marketing is needed to make direct outreach work. Let's explain what I mean by marketing. So when you've got direct outreach going on, you don't have to create landing pages and email sequences and 45-minute content videos and ebooks and white papers and blog articles and all that other stuff. Oh, don't worry about the automation, right? You got to hook all those things up with this tool that won't work with that tool that needs a sub tool to connect those tools. All that marketing stuff, you don't have to do anymore. You can now focus on the conversation, not managing your 100 different marketing tools. So with that comes fewer moving parts, which makes it easier to manage and easier to measure success. So not only are you not spending your time and money trying to figure out marketing, but now you got this very particular process that you have for direct communication, and you can very clearly see if it's working or not. You don't have to go dig into a fancy software tool to figure this out. You can very clearly see, did I get the response I wanted? Yes, no. Did I follow up appropriately? Yes, no. It becomes very easy to follow. Fewer moving parts. It's more efficient to measure success. Next part about direct outreach, what makes it work? This is a huge one. Hear me, please. Your best prospects do not want to be marketed to. They want to be listened to. Right now, I'm talking about your best prospects. I'm not talking about folks that you cut a deal with 3 times and you should have charged them $5,000, but now you're charging them $1,000. You're doing all these 100 favors. I'm not talking about those people. I'm not talking about the folks in your business that where you may have just got started to get some case studies and it's the best you can do right now. No, I don't mean those people. I'm talking about the folks who will willingly and happily pay $2,000 a month for your services. The folks who will willingly happily pay $5,000 a month for your services. The folks who will willingly happily pay $25,000 a month to have your company work with theirs. I'm talking about the folks who will pay $100,000 a year to work with your company so you can help them grow. I'm talking about those kinds of clients. And those kinds of clients do not want to be marketed to. They don't want to have to navigate 4 different landing pages and read 9 different blog posts and go through your 47-part email sequence. They don't want to bother with all of that. They don't want to have to fuss through all of that. Your best prospect, your best client knows they have an issue and they just want someone to listen to the issue that they have. If you can solve it, let's fix it. If you can't, that's okay. I'll go somewhere else. But your best prospect is looking for that kind of interaction. If you're not careful, your marketing expertise will get in the way. You'll be so busy and anxious and urgent to build this marketing infrastructure that you've missed the point. The point is to get the decision maker on the phone and create a model that will enable that preferred end result. Questions or comments about that? So I'm recommending direct outreach for the reasons that I just described. There are things you got to do to make it work. Agree, disagree, like, don't like. I'll take a moment while any thoughts pop up if someone's got a thought. The next thing I'm going to talk about is what makes direct outreach not work. Where does it break? Where does it slow down? So far, so good. We continue. Okay, so I got to change my agenda here. Hold on. How about that? How about that? All right. So number 4, why doesn't direct outreach work? Where does it break? Where does it break down? Okay. Here's the big one that no one's going to talk about. I'm talking about it right now. This one actually goes beyond direct outreach, but we're going to stay focused here. Why doesn't direct outreach work? Alzay, I'm trying to do cold emails, not working. I'm trying to do cold calling, it's not working. I'm trying to do A and B and C and da-da-da-da. It's not working, right? Alzay, I've done direct outreach. It doesn't work. Why didn't it work? You've got a fear of being on the phone. You have a fear of being on the phone. That's why your direct outreach doesn't work. I'm telling you that the purpose, the intention of your direct outreach is to get someone on the phone. That's the point of reaching out in the first place, is to get them on the phone so you can listen to their problem. But if you've got a quiet fear of being on the phone, then you won't use direct outreach for that reason. You'll use direct outreach to qualify people. You'll use direct outreach to send them some content that they don't want, or to list these services that they don't care about. You will misuse the strategy because quietly you've got a fear of being on the phone. Now, I just said that out loud. I just said you've got a fear of being on the phone, and perhaps you right now just felt something happen in your stomach. You felt like you got called out, right? Like, oh, you found me. I really don't like being on the phone. Somebody else right now might be arguing with me. I was like, I don't have a problem being on the phone. I'm a salesperson. I'll get on the phone and talk to anybody. All right, let's digest that some more. What if you get on the phone and you can't do the work that they asked? What if you get on the phone and the client is clear about what they want? They're crystal clear and you can't do it. What do you do about that? What if you get on the phone and they ask you a question that you don't know the answer to? Like you say you're a marketing expert and they ask you a marketing question and you don't know the answer. What do you do about that? What if you get on the phone and you're having a conversation and they actually want to work with you, but you don't know how to close? Like you think they want to work with you, but you think it sounds good, feels good, but you don't know how to close the deal. You don't know how to close the conversation. What do you do about that? What if you get on the phone, have a good conversation, and they ask you how much it costs, and you're not quite sure what you should say? What do you do about that? What if your ask, your suggestion to get on the phone is an interruption? What if you're afraid of interrupting the prospective client you're reaching out to? I'm asking you right now, have you ever had one of those concerns? I have. If you've ever had one of those concerns, that is a fear, ladies and gentlemen, of being on the phone. That's resistance to being on the phone. Any of those gets in the way of you being on the phone. So what you do, and this happens very quietly and silently, you never say this out loud. You never say it out loud. But what you do inside your business is you begin to pre-solve for one of those issues. So you begin to introduce some marketing mechanic. Just in case I can't do the work, let me tell them these 19 things in advance. Just in case they think I don't know an answer to something, let me send a 45-minute video in advance. Just in case they don't know of how much the prices should charge, let me give them this long pricing sheet. Or let me wait to tell them how much it costs so I can figure out what they want, and then I'll figure out what it should cost later, right? You go through that whole thing. So they know I'm not interrupting them. Let me over-explain what I want to talk about or what services I offer beforehand. Marketing crap. You're now doing marketing crap. You're not trying to get someone on the phone to solve their problem. You are now doing marketing crap. And the reason why you're doing marketing crap is because you're afraid to be on the phone. The whole intention of doing direct outreach is to get someone on the phone. You've got to be okay talking to folks on the phone and having a real conversation. Okay. Here's more of why. Let's continue with why direct outreach doesn't work, why your past attempts haven't worked, or why you might be afraid to do it going forward. Let's deal, right? You're not really solving a problem. You're selling a service. If you look honestly at your offering right now, what you do right now, what problem do you solve? Are you sure about that? Are you clear about that? Or are you really just offering a marketing service? I do Facebook advertising. It's great. What problem does that solve? All right. I do content creation. Okay. What problem does that solve? I do web design. What problem does that solve? What is interesting about that to a prospective client? Nothing. So when you reach out and you say, I offer content services, doesn't resonate, right? I move on, right? You're not really solving a problem. You're offering a service. More of why direct outreach doesn't work. You're not fully clear on the scope of your own service. So even with people who do, let's say, lead generation, that's a very straightforward service. Clients like things like lead generation, right? Everybody wants new business. So even if you do something very clear, like lead generation, I ask, how does it work? And you tell me, well, it depends. It depends? It depends on what? Like, who's the expert here? Right? So there's this thing where you think if you sit and listen to the client, they'll tell you what they want, and then you'll create this lead gen thing just for them. Nope. If the client knew what they want, they would be doing it already. Right? So part of why your direct outreach doesn't work is that you're not fully clear and confident in what you're trying to sell. So you resist this idea of doing direct outreach because you don't want the embarrassment of getting called out. Right? So, hey, this happens to little businesses, to bigger ones trying to get even bigger. This happens to huge ones trying to get even huger. These challenges aren't just for little bitty small businesses. These are real business challenges. Business owners who do not like being on the phone, who are afraid to be on the phone because they don't want one of the things I just described earlier to happen. And so they create all this marketing stuff inside their business to justify their fear of being on the phone. You're now doing marketing crap. You're not solving problems. Okay, let's continue here. Why doesn't direct outreach work? Because you don't have a process for it. You're not in a rhythm of doing it. You're not following a set of steps every day that will take you towards the goal you want. You're not consistently and constantly doing the work. You're not giving it a process. You tried it once, literally once, or you sent out 5 emails one day, or you tried it really hard for a week and it didn't work. And now you're back to the drawing board trying to find something else that might work. So everything I just described, and kind of ending with the bottom is why direct outreach, even though it's so powerful, doesn't work for you. There's some things that you got to get clear about, and even once you're clear and confident in those things, you still have to build a process for it. There's no avoiding that. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, agree, disagree. Am I off my rocker? Have I gone crazy? Am I just another marketing guy spitting marketing stuff? Which I'm open to that too. Am I just another talking head on YouTube? You tell me, right? I'm unafraid of the dialogue. However, I warned you in advance. I am talking to someone who wants to do something about lead generation. I'm not talking to someone who is looking for tips, tools, trainings, and hacks. Lead generation must be a discipline inside your business. You're the leader. I desire to help you build that discipline. That's why we're talking about it this way. So if the idea of discipline makes you uncomfortable, well, then you should close out. You should have been gone a long time ago, because the only way you get home is with that. So Denise asked a question, and we're gonna test some more functionality here. So I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna put her question right on the screen so we can read it together. Let's try this. Let's go for it. Right. So here we go. Denise says, "Okay, I'm seeing this clearly. The real fear is that we may have to say that's not in the scope of my offering, which is a form of not being able to close. But that's not an issue of skill or ability. It's a predefined limitation of my service offering. We have to be at peace with that before doing direct outreach. That's probably tough for a lot of us." Whoa, Denise. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. So that's not in the scope of my offering. That's a completely appropriate response. I'll I'll take this down now. Let's see here. Hide current comment. Here we go. Boom. All right. That's not the statement. That's not in the scope of my offering. It's a very fair statement. Very fair statement. How saying that is not a matter of not being able to close. See, that's where we get. There's a thing in there too. When you have a conversation with a prospective client, the goal of the conversation is not to close a sale. The goal of a conversation with a prospective client is not close sale. That's not the goal. The goal is made decision. Did the prospective client, the person you were talking to, did they make a decision in or out, up or down? What they decide is up to them, not up to you. Your job is not to twist them into a sale. So my point here is when you say that what you've just requested, prospective client, is not in the scope of service, they have to now decide what they want to do about that. You have, in fact, closed. You've challenged them to make a decision, right? But there's a lot there. I'll try not to get dovetailed, but that's a big deal. Telling your prospective client the truth is a thing you should be doing. So tell them what's in and what's not in, and then challenge them to decide what they want to do, because they're trying to solve their problem, right? How do they want to solve it? With you, with your scope, or over there with that scope? Their choice. But here's where things really get strong, Denise. This is a big deal. It's a predefined limitation of my service offering. Yes, indeed. Hey, prospective client, there are things that we're not going to do so that we can do this stuff over here. So we're going to limit these distractions and these one-offs so we can fully claim this thing over here. Yes, indeed, prospective client, we're going to not do this so we can do that. You in? Yes, that is the conversation. And you got to be at peace with that. Yes, you do. All right. I don't want to belabor the point. I'm excited about that because once you fully claim that for Denise and everybody else, once you fully claim the idea that you are the expert and you drive how the conversation goes, your game changes. Everything about your game changes. All right, cool. All right. I don't want to get stuck there. Okay. More questions, more comments, more concerns, thoughts about what we just did with Denise. Talk to me, right? That's what these are for. All right, great. I got one more thing here. So a specific question was put. Let's see here. A specific question was put, and I'm working my way to bring it up on screen here because we've got that functionality, and so we're going to do it so you can see the exact question that was submitted. So I got to take that down. All right, let's do that. Here we go. Oh, well, the whole thing doesn't show. All right, so things we just learned. But here's the basic idea: how to handle the stuff, how to handle the hard and unexpected stuff that happens during an engagement. So sometimes when you're working with the client, unforeseen things happen, right? They do things you didn't expect. They do things you don't want. They do things you don't like. And now you've got a brand new issue inside this project. Loosely, we call that scope creep, right? These additional issues that become a part of the project. Loosely, we call that scope creep. Now, what you didn't see in that question was she said, so basically, how do you handle these hard and unexpected things that happen in the arrangement, period, or question mark? How do you handle it, question mark? The next thing she says is, I know our job is to mitigate these things, but what do we do or not do when they actually happen? Okay. I talk to folks like you all the time, so I know what's happening underneath that question. So let me say it another way. I know I'm supposed to stop clients from acting out of bounds. I know that. But he's acting out of bounds anyway. So tell me what I do, because now I got an issue. All right. Let's deal. First things first. And I know who asked this question, and she's actually a very bright lady. So I don't want her to take this personally, and I don't want you to take this response personally, but I got to be direct so we can get better at this. We cannot skip over your responsibility in the engagement you currently have. you attracted that opportunity. You attracted that lead. Your business attracted that lead. You committed to a certain scope of service. And now inside that scope of service, the client is acting crazy. Two of those three inputs are your fault. Client acquisition is yours. Client service is yours. The client's behavior is theirs. Two of the three of those equations or parts of the equation are yours. So you've got to own that. Wait a minute. I did some stuff that I shouldn't have done that opened up this door. More to that point, when you go re-engage with this current client, because you should and you will go re-engage with this current client. When you go re-engage with that current client, you personally need context for the re-engagement. Like, you have to know what you're going to say and what you're going to do and what preferred behavior you'd rather have. But if you don't know what your design for that service is, if you're not fully committed or fully clear about what you wanted to happen in this engagement, then you don't know what to say to the prospective or to the current client. You won't know what to say. So I could give you a template to follow or some words to use, but they'd be empty because you still don't know, you're not committed to what it is that you really wanted from this engagement. This is a big deal. This is a huge deal. What am I saying even more directly, even more succinctly, even underneath that? Your clarity and confidence in your own service model changes the way you do client acquisition. I understand that for many agencies, lead generation is a thing. It's a pain point. It's a thing you're trying to resolve. And I understand that. What can be hard to hear and unfamiliar to hear is that your lead generation issue, the root cause of that is a client service issue. You can generate leads easier and faster when you're clearer and more confident in the exact service you're trying to deliver. I know that's counterintuitive, and I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear, and I may have lost 100 views right then because the folks just took off like he's full of crap, and they just took off. It's happening inside the program. There are clients in my program right now who they do not have some marketing funnel, some awesome marketing funnel set up in their business. They don't have one. Doesn't exist. They do not have one. There is no landing page, for example. There isn't one. There isn't one. But they're closing deals anyway. How is that possible? How? Without all these marketing automation elements, how are you still able to close clients? Because their client service methodology is so clearly understood, and they're using direct outreach. They're talking to people one-on-one, and they're listening for a problem, and they're proposing to resolve it. We can argue about this all you want. It's proving itself out inside the program. I know this is true. I've seen it happen more than once. This is how it works. Underneath all that marketing complexity, at the bottom line is this, right? Okay, I don't want to. All right. Here's a picture I just want you to see, and then I'll move on. You are the doctor. The client is the patient. You are the doctor. The client is the patient. And the patient with pain comes to you looking for a solution. And if you are a doctor who delivers high-level surgery, your job is to tell the prospective client, your current patient, your job as a surgeon is to tell the patient how certain things that the patient has to do to prepare themselves for surgery. You've got to change your diet, perhaps, because you got to clean out your system. Maybe you don't eat in 24 hours from surgery. There may be some things you have to start doing outside to kind of calm your body down for surgery. If you've had surgery, you know what I'm talking about. There is a pre-surgery protocol. That's the client's job. And then once they show up for surgery on the day of surgery, there's certain clothes you got to wear. You don't wear your normal clothes to surgery, right? You got to put on a hospital gown. There's clothes you got to wear. There's a room you got to sit in, the surgery room, the surgical room, right? When you go into that room is already laid out. You're the patient. When you're a patient going to surgery, the room's already laid out, right? To allow for surgery to take place. And then in most cases, when surgery takes place, they put you to sleep. They put a mask over your face and they put you to sleep. So you can't get in the way of surgery. Because if we start operating on you, then you feel the pain, you start flailing your arms, you will injure yourself, the doctors, and you will damage your body for the long term. You are the doctor. You are the surgeon. And you have got to tell your client how the surgery unfolds. And if they break the rules, they can't be a patient of yours. And if they're in the operating room, they have no latitude to break the rules. They can't. If they break the rules, they break the entire engagement and everybody gets injured. It's a bad deal. You've got to, quote unquote, put the client to sleep. They got to be still while you do all the heavy lifting of surgery. Oh, this is a big deal. You missed this. You missed this. You've missed it, man. But your next $5,000, your next $10,000 is not in some lead gen thing. Your next $10,000 is inside how you shape your offering. All right, what do you do? What most agencies do when a client begins to act out of bounds is they go back to their contract and they wave a contract in front of their face. Client, you said on page 4 that you would do the following. That you would send documents 1 week in advance, that you would attend the meetings that we asked, that you would send us what you said. That didn't work. Is it working now? As you're waving contracts in front of clients, is that working? We forgot that we signed is on page number 3. Let's get back in line. That's not what happens. So your contract is useless. That document that you were so proud to have and worked so hard to create, that legalese written document is useless. But I'll say it's a binding agreement. It's a legal contract. It's a binding arrangement. Okay, you gonna sue them about it? Are you gonna go sue that client for X number of dollars? Are you gonna do that? No, right? So moving on. So another way that agencies try to keep clients in line is by threatening to charge them additional fees. So if you make this mistake, it's $75. If you ask for more work, it's $200. If you do this, $1,000 more, whatever. So you charge these one-off fees. Does that help? Does that work? If a client's already acting out of control, it's charge them $75 more. Is that going to change his behavior set? Does he even pay the $75? You know what I mean? Like, does it work? No, these are things that agencies do, and they're time wasters. The real issue here is you got to realign yourself with the problem that client said he had. Hey, client, you said you were trying to get X done. We're trying to help you get X done. But what you're doing is somewhere over here in Y. We didn't talk about Y. We talked about X. So are we trying to get X done or not? And let them decide what they want to do. If they say, no, I want to do Y, well, then let them go on and do Y, right? Cancel, give them their money back, whatever, and go do Y. But if what they want is X, then double down on X and finish. You can't do what I just described if you were not already clear on what the X goal was. If you assumed the X goal, that's your fault, not theirs. Your job is to get crystal clear on what this arrangement is supposed to be about, what the problem is, and what your proposed solution is before you begin work. You are the doctor. You are the surgeon. You got to tell them, is that what hurts? You got elbow pain, not head pain, but elbow pain. Great. Here's the elbow pain service. We're going to deliver it right now. You ready? Sign here. And then they follow your instructions to get that elbow pain removed. If you don't do that, you will suffer pain. And the kind of question we just went over is the kind of pain that I'm talking about. It's fixable, but you've got to level up. You, the leader, you, the doctor, you, the surgeon, you've got to level up. You've got to enter into your engagements in a more professional way. And professional doesn't mean a longer contract. And it doesn't mean whatever. You get the point. You get the point. All right, folks. We got new technology. We got new technology. We're trying new stuff. Questions, comments, concerns about what you see here, what you've heard today. Yeah. Questions, comments, concerns. I've enjoyed doing these Facebook Lives. I forget what number we're on. I think we're at double digits now. So we're getting better as we go. And I'm enjoying the process of getting better being easier for me to deliver these, better being the quality of this content is better for you to receive. If you do or don't like this content, if you've got something constructive to offer one way or another, I'm open to that. So whether it's in the Facebook group or on YouTube, wherever you see this, I'm open to improving how this is working. Because I only do this for value to you. This is all about value to you. So, all right, no questions, no comments, at least, or no additional comments at this point. I appreciate y'all for your time. Thank you so much for spending it with me on this Tuesday. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care, folks.